Here are some pretty amazing websites made without writing any code at all. Let's check them out. This right here is our first design, called the Mushroom Studio. This website looks absolutely stunning. You can tell that whoever crafted this wants to come across as someone who is very professional at the craft that they do. The photography here with the text in the background just brings that whole vibe across, and this slick black look just looks awesome. And this transitions into the next section, a feature section with three main features, one being a look, a second being maybe a project, and the third being a product. And I have to say that this was pretty amazing that all of this was done without writing a single line of code. And so if you're a dev like me, you might be wondering, is this even responsive? Well, let's take a look. And wow, okay, so this is perfectly responsive. And actually it comes out quite nice when you do respond it. If you see here, the grid actually snaps from 3 elements to 2 elements, making a nice aesthetic here. But generally speaking, this is probably one of the most responsive looking websites I've seen in a while. The next section here is this catching, exquisite establishing shot with text that sort of seems to overlay on top of this photo, which I like. As a developer reacting to these designs, I know just how hard it can be to create this kind of aesthetic. We would need to use CSS and HTML with absolute positioning. It would be quite difficult. And here they've used Editor X, and they've just overlapped these elements in probably just minutes. If we keep scrolling through this next section that says make it special, I can't really read what's on the right, but the left-hand side with the high quality text, as well as the high quality images and some nice animation, I think all of it just brings this entire website to life. Generally speaking, I think this is a great looking website, and this one definitely gives me some inspiration if I was thinking of doing my own designs with a nice black slick aesthetic look. What I like about this one here is the fact that it is a pretty simple website. It's just this logo in the middle with this video background. But what's cool is that if you scroll, the actual logo for Hazel basically stays with you. And as you're going from section to section, it almost overflows onto the next logo. So like Hazel and Specialized. And then the next one, Hazel and Hunt. And then again, Hazel and Canadell? I can't even say that properly. But the aesthetic and the design for this is something unique. It's something I haven't seen before. It's nothing revolutionary, but it's these simple things that make a website look interesting and engaging and make you want to scroll to see what's next. And take note of this project section. It does something which I always say people should do in any website design, which is show instead of tell. It does this with this 2x2 grid structure, where there is a video with just a few frames on a 5-second loop, but realistically what this does is showcase every one of their projects in such an interesting and engaging manner that looks professional and engaging, that it just makes you want to continue to scroll through and view them all, and it gives you inspiration as well as wanting you to contact them, which actually there is a contact button on the very bottom right here that you can then select, which can go through to this homepage once again. This next website here that's been done without writing any code is by Caitlin, and this is a portfolio design. What's a little bit different in this case is rather than that black aesthetic that we had previously, this one is a lot more white, but it still has that professional feel with some good text elements here and there. We've got a slightly larger header and footer, and as we're scrolling through the page itself doesn't scroll, but rather elements scroll into the page, which is a different take, I suppose, on creating a design. If we head to the About Us page, this one is a little bit more about the person. So we've got a nice description here, and we've got some hover effects as well as like things that they do. There is a work index here, so I guess this is sort of like their portfolio work itself. And we can select onto any of those elements. And here we've got a description of the job on the left-hand side. And we've got some nice visuals that are scrolling through on the right-hand side. If we keep scrolling, we have some full container-sized images, which I think really is awesome. And then we've got some text to give it some context of what those are. At any point in time, we can select the previous or the next design. So I think generally that's a pretty interesting way to showcase the portfolio. I really like this because it's almost like doing a case study on each bit of work that you do. And if I'm ever doing a website design or a website in general, I think this would be a great way to showcase it to new people, because this way I get a better idea of how the work is actually done itself. It's almost like a presentation, like you're going along the journey of creating that bit of work. So this is a great looking website. Here is our next website, Nativo, I think. It's a restaurant style website. So we start off with this nice video presentation and we go straight into learning a little bit more about the restaurant. Now I really like this fade in with this traditional photography on the left hand side overlaid on top of the newer photography. We've got some traditional signatures of the owners and as well as a description, and we move straight into really nice colorful imagery of the place itself. I think generally this is a good looking website. We even have some SVG art here over with the cocktail, I think it is. And each section here has some imagery, even the dining menu. And then we have a nice gallery here at the bottom. If you also notice as we're loading through each section, they have these fade-in effects, and that's just very subtle, but as you're transitioning into each section, you sort of see it fade in, and I think that's really cool. The menu page itself fades in and we get to see all our menu options here, and as we scroll through we get to see some visuals of them as well. And I think this works as a much more appealing way of showcasing your menu, especially for a restaurant on a website where you get to see the food as well as the drinks rather as an image rather than just a piece of text with a price behind it. So this is just brilliant. Each section here starts off and alternates. So we've got some text here on the left with the images on the right, and then the next section has the text on the right with the images on the left. And it's got a bit of a slider where you can continue scrolling through. So that's pretty useful to keep things engaging and interesting. And this whole section is actually quite large. You can keep scrolling through and you get a lot of information in a single row rather than having to click through different pages to do that. Our next design here is a My Eatery website. A Bun My? I think I'm saying that right. But it's another design with some large aesthetics showcasing the food. And we've got our next section here with a bit of a background fixed position while we're scrolling with some nice custom text for welcome to and custom text here for Ban Mai. And all of this looks very professional, very clean. And we have the next part here as the location, opening hours, contact us, and we move straight into the menu. I like how the menu has these hover effects so that we know that they're clickable, which I want to do in a little bit. But as we scroll through, we've got some nice background images here with more context, and we move straight into a call to action to book a table. Now this all so far has flowed quite well. Then we move into some Instagram stories as well as some galleries, which is just some open-ended stuff, I think, to keep people interested. But let's jump back to the menu section here because I'd love to see if we click on the main courses, what that page might look like. So here are the main courses. There's actually a whole page for the menu in general. And man, this is, well, it's an amazing page for a menu for a restaurant. If I was looking for a place to eat and someone showed me a website like this with these beautiful, almost like SLR photos of these menu items with nice descriptions as well as the prices, and such a big selection as well. And all of them, if you have a look, have been crafted in such a way that they're sitting just about the exact same angle from the screen at the same position, so that it feels like you're just sitting in front of a table and viewing them all. This is really like a masterclass into how to do a gallery for a restaurant website. And yeah, all of this was done with no code at all. I really wonder how long it took them to build this page. I'd say not long at all if you have like a repeating tool with a database with some photos. Our next website here is called Matte Black, which is my favorite color. But it starts off with this nice image of coconut water, one in black and one in white, but the aesthetics of the actual cans with the little water coming off of them looks really high quality. So maybe there's more to this, but as we scroll through, we can see that this actually might be a branding organization, showcasing different products as well as, say, apparel and other branded, say, t-shirts and even letterheads. And I guess they're showing more than telling the kind of work that they're doing, which is always an important thing. But it looks like the left-hand side here just continues to scroll through the work that they do. If I move my mouse here over the right-hand side, we get a bit more description about who they are, as well as their capabilities, and we can scroll through to immediately reach them. It's not a very complex section. They're leading more with examples of work they've done to showcase their quality, and immediately pushing you to contact them through the right-hand side. So I think this is a nice and simple website. I can see how this could be done without writing any code. Say in Editor X, you would just have maybe a grid structure with a scrollable event on the left and the right-hand side, and you could make this quite cleanly and efficiently. This next website is called Foxgroup. Now, I do like the menu at the very top already. It's this nice sort of a menu that, well, basically it's outlines, and as you're scrolling through, it fades to black, but the menu stays along with you. We've got a nice search here at the top too. As we're scrolling through, we've got our introduction to what Foxgroup is, and then we've got this nice image of where they're located, how many stores they have. They're a big organization. And we move straight into their branding. So they've got brands like Fox and Nike and Foot Locker and American Eagle. So this is like quite a large organization, and it's actually pretty impressive who they worked with, even with Disney. So that's pretty damn cool. Then we've moved into news articles here, but I'd love to jump into the About Us page to have a look at this. So here we've got the About Us page, same aesthetic. We've got some text here, we've got some images. And you might see this one common trope that's happening with no-coding designs and websites. It's the fact that they're no longer locked into certain grids or structures that all the pages look the same. Rather, they're all unique because you can move about and place elements anywhere. Like all these images and videos are just placed here and there, but it's that creative freedom that you get to really design things any way you want. We get some more information about how many people they work with, how many stores they have, how many franchises, as well as this really cool timeline, which, man, this would be so hard to do if I was trying to program this out with, say, JavaScript or CSS positioning. But here I know that with like a no-code tool, you could literally just drag and drop these lines and dates in with these images, and this will all just work. So this timeline is a perfect example of just like how far no-code can take you now in design aesthetics. I'd say if I was building out this one timeline page manually, this would take me like 1 or 2 days, maybe longer. But if I was doing this in Editor X, I guess I could do this in just an hour. So that's just amazing. I hope this gives you some inspiration to know just what no-code websites might look like. I was actually quite surprised, and in most cases, I would never be able to tell whether a website was built traditionally with code or with no-code tools. The main thing that I've noticed though is that it gives you more creative freedom to express yourself in ways that you might not have considered before. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.